Seattle just lost Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker, but the Seahawks may have found something even more dangerous. Darian Price, a first-round weapon with fresh legs, explosive speed, and the chance to become the new heartbeat of Seattle's Super Bowl chase.
There's been a lot of angst in Seattle ever since Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker III signed with the Kansas City Chiefs in free agency. What are we going to do? How are they going to replace him? And I've been telling the Seahawks fans, look, you get Walker in round 2, Zach Charbonnet in round 2. You can find somebody else in the draft. And the Seahawks replaced Walker almost at round 2. Last pick in round 1, the pick earned by becoming the Super Bowl champions. Darian Price, the Notre Dame running back, becoming the second Notre Dame running back to be taken in round 1. Number 3, Jeremiah Love, 32. Price, first time since 2008, 2 running backs from the same school were taken in round 1. It was Darren McFadden and Felix Jones in 2008 from Arkansas. Now the Notre Dame running backs both make it. And I know Chris Sims has been a big fan of Price. The Seahawks clearly are. And here's the key. You get him at 32, 5-year contract, 5th-year option. No ability to hit free agency if they exercise the option. That's key. And it's also important because Charbonnet recovering from the torn ACL that he suffered against the 49ers in the divisional round of the playoffs. So Price, by virtue of his draft pedigree, is going to step in as RB1 for the Seattle Seahawks. And they wouldn't have done this move if they didn't think that he could come in and make a difference for a team that's going to try to get back to the postseason, go deep into the playoffs, and maybe get back to the Super Bowl and win it. It won't be easy in the NFC West, but they've addressed one of their biggest glaring weaknesses.
Let's get to it. I mean, this is gigantic, really. Go ahead, Chase. Go ahead.
I just want to preface when you say that. Okay, like I agree it's gigantic because he's a first-round running back. He's never started a college game, and he's never had more than 15 touches in the game. Let that sink in.
That's good. I love that.
He's never started a college game.
And never had more than 15 touches.
It's hard to start when you got
And
a
never
guy
had
that can be a
15 touches.
generational
just let that
player.
sink in for a first-round pick.
I love that. Because that means he fresh. A running back, he fresh. He not beat up and worn out. I like that.
Here's what I like. Here's what I like about getting Price for the Seahawks. When you are drafting at 32, you're just drafting out of a void.
I agree.
Yeah, you're drafting out of a void.
Completely agree.
It's like your roster is already set. Seahawks have a Super Bowl championship roster. They haven't lost anybody incredibly substantial. Yes, you lost Kenneth Walker, but Walker was splitting carries with Zach Charbonnet. So the Seahawks looked at their running back room and said, hey, you know what? As good as Kenneth Walker is, Zach Charbonnet is good enough to take 50% of these carries. So I'm not going to cry over an absence of Kenneth Walker when you still have Charbonnet and you have Price. I think this is a brilliant acquisition by the Seattle Seahawks because you're just drafting excess. Okay, we have Charbonnet. We like 2 running back sets. To Chase Daniel's point, Price has never been a starter at Notre Dame. But guess what? Price ain't going to be a starter in Seattle either. Not day one.
Yeah.
Zach Charbonnet is. Price lived with a 2 running back set in Notre Dame. Had to split carries with Jeremiah Love, number 3 overall pick. Price better humble himself, which I'm sure he will show up and be a backup to Zach Charbonnet until his number is called. Seattle Seahawks, you nailed it. You did not have much to nail, and you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it, 10 out of 10. You lost Kenneth Walker, Super Bowl MVP. You replace him with a running back in Price. I love it. TJ Hushmanzade.
Yeah, similar stature, similar style. He's a little bit smaller. He's got 3 kickoff return touchdowns, 2 of them for over 100 yards. So he can right away be one of the returners along with Shaheed.
Yeah.
Like if you got a guy like that, like so automatically getting on, he runs a 4.49 40. Bright, charismatic, and he's got juice, man. Like I like it a lot. Like it's one of those things where you're looking at the void, and Yacha, you said it so perfectly. It's like, well, I'm drafting for a void. Like I need a starter, maybe not a starter, but I need a guy who can go. And I mean, he's fresh legs is what we like to call it, right? Like fresh legs. You ever started a game, bro? 15 carries? Come on.
Here's the other thing. To me, Price is kind of the off-speed pitch to Zach Charbonnet. Zach Charbonnet, he has some size on him as a runner. He'll make you feel it every time he lowers his shoulder. And I think Price is a really good off-speed pitch, change of pace type of running back when you think about these two-back sets. He doesn't have to run for 1,200 yards, nor will he. But can he run for 800 yards and average 4.8 a year?
But you know what, though? He might be starting game one.
Yeah.
Because of the injury?
Yeah, he tore his knee in the playoffs. So he tore his knee in January. Charbonnet won't be ready to go, we would assume, till November, December.
I mean, he's going to be playing.
He may miss the whole season. As a running back, he may miss the whole season. And so they may end up drafting another guy, or they may have a vet on the team. He'll split carries. But I would assume that Charbonnet is going to be out at least the first half of the season.
So Price comes in and starts day one.
First round running back.
I think.
Hey, yeah, he's gonna start his first game in X amount of years in the league.
Hey, it's gonna be preseason though.
You ain't even starting college. Boy, I'm starting in the league.
What you saying about that?
Yeah.
I love it. When you think about what the Patriots did, they were in the Super Bowl last year, TJ. What the Seahawks did, they were in the Super Bowl last year. Both made necessary moves. Patriots, end of the draft, they get Lomu out of Utah.
Caleb Lomu.
Seahawks, end of the draft, they just get Price. Who do you think made a bigger improvement for their roster?
Between
Patriots, Seahawks, two
I
Super
would
Bowl
say,
teams.
I'm going to say the Patriots because games are won and lost in the trenches. They're won and lost in the trenches.
Yeah.
And if Lomu is a starter, because Price is going to play, and he's going to play a good amount. If Lomu is a starter, then it's the Patriots. If not, obviously, it would be the Seahawks. But I'm just a firm believer, we get all the credit for the touchdowns we catch. The quarterbacks get all the credit for the touchdowns they throw. But ain't none of that happening without them dudes up front.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to go Seahawks though. I like the Seahawks because here's the thing: they don't have a lot of holes in the roster by any stretch of imagination, and their defense is, I think, just as good as the Texans. Not as good, but almost as good. And you look at what Sam Darnold, if he can do it, he's back, right? You lose your offensive coordinator, big deal, I think, huge deal. Kubiak goes to the Raiders, going to coach Fernando Mendoza. But you add you add a guy who, in my opinion, was the number 2 running back, number 3 running back, and he gets drafted in the first round, so you lock him up for 5. And I get like the Patriots, who knows how they're going to be with their offensive linemen. But I think you add a guy and a piece that you need to add. I think they got better.
I love it.
Before we kind of get into each player, just your thoughts of this class overall. Started with 4 picks, came out of it with 8. Just what do you think of the group they added?
I think that it's pretty remarkable, actually, that the Seahawks were able to turn those 4 selections into 8, considering, of course, that they kept their first pick overall, and that's usually the one that if you trade down that you're able to accumulate extra picks. So to be able to fill positions of concern and yet still have the quantity of selections that Seattle ended up with is yeoman's work.
You got like, wow, I thought that guy was going to go sooner.
I guess Bud Clark in a lot of ways, just because of the fact that when you have the ball skills that this young man possesses in an NFL that prioritizes the ball, obviously, but turnovers and big play opportunities, I was surprised that somebody didn't take advantage of his big play potential a little bit earlier. Again, this is a positional group for the Seahawks that, with the free agent loss of Kobe Bryant, I thought that it'd be fairly easy for other teams to recognize where some of Seattle's areas of concern might be, and to allow the Seahawks to get a player that has 15 career interceptions. To me was kind of like giving the Super Bowl champs a little bit more opportunity than they should have.
You mentioned that competitiveness. That's obviously a big factor for every team, but Seahawks have talked about that when you're a team as good as they are, coming off a Super Bowl, big name players all over the place. You want guys that are going to come in and compete. I think the phrase that John Schneider used at the annual meetings was, you want someone who wants to come in and take Spoon's job, take Leo's job. Now, guys probably aren't actually going to come take those guys' jobs, but that's the mentality. You're around scouting, you're around this. Like, how do teams evaluate that? It's obvious it's easy to look at, the stats and the numbers and what the guy runs, but how do teams evaluate competitiveness?
Well, I think that's why I mentioned, trying to recover and make that tackle. I mean, it was not his assignment that it broke away for that particular play. And so I think that it would have been easy just to allow him to score. Who cares at this point? It's the final game of your college career. If the players who are going to take that so seriously, that this is the final game of your college career, then there's no way that he's scoring on my watch. That's, I think, is one way that you can evaluate the competitiveness. And then, of course, what I was interested in is how many of the players that Seattle selected this year that were players that they actually brought in to visit. And I think that you can have conversations with them. Anybody can watch the tape and see, oh, he's good or he's fast or he's strong. But to get to know the person, that to me felt like a much more of a priority for the Seahawks than frankly for a lot of the other NFL teams out there that are willing to gamble on athletic traits but aren't necessarily as invested in the human being.
League-wide, it felt like, at least from people watching from the outside, it was a little more unpredictable in a lot of drafts, and Schneider kind of alluded to that on day one. I don't think he wants to give too much away, but from your perspective, was this maybe a little more kind of tough to peg where things were going throughout the draft?
I think it was, and I think part of it is just because it's not a class that I felt like had as many top-end, high-end starters, caliber players. That there were plenty of starters. There weren't a lot of superstars, in my opinion, in this draft class. So there was a lot of kind of jumbled up grades. What the Seahawks might think of as far as being like the top guard, for example, might be very different than what another team might think. And so I think that led to plenty of disagreement as far as just the selection order. And so I think made it a little bit more unpredictable, but also a lot more drama-filled and more fun as a viewer just watching the draft.
Taking Price out of the question because that's the obvious one. Other than Price, who do you see out of this group maybe having the biggest instant role? Is it Bud Clark coming in and competing at safety right away, or who do you like to step up right away as a rookie?
I do think it is Bud Clark, and I mean this with all due respect to Ty Okada. I just think that, because Ty Okada, I think, is a terrific football player.
He had a great season.
Oh my goodness, it was unbelievable the season that he enjoyed this past year. I don't know that there is another defensive back in this draft class, even including the first round. Mansour Delane was the first defensive back that was selected this year. I don't know that there's any defensive back in this class that has Bud Clark's instincts, his hand-eye coordination. If he wasn't intercepting in the pass, then he was breaking it up. And so I think that if you plug in his big play ability, given the talent the Seahawks already have on the defense, then that is just going to create that many more turnover possibilities for the Seahawks. I think that is going to just be such an intoxicating blend for Seattle.
Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.